Hello everyone, my name is Matthew Weldon. I am the creator of Master Survival. I am also the owner of Royal Flush Studios, and thank you so much for watching this episode of my devlog series. If you haven't watched the previous episode of this series, you can go ahead and click on this box up here. You can also go ahead and at the end of the video will be some links to the other videos. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're not, and go ahead and hit that bell notification. It helps you out, helps me out, it helps everyone out. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this episode. So I started prototyping. Hold on. I gotta get the game document done. So I started writing up a game document. For those who don't know, a game document is basically like your holy Bible. This is a document that's gonna say what you're doing, who the characters are, what your world is, what your scope is, who's working on what, things like that. So as soon as I got this idea and a game document done, I reached out to my buddy Malcolm. He's one of my best friends as well. Me and him met in college, and I was working on games. He was working on games too, so we just kind of became instant best friends from that point. I had kind of brought him into the series as well, and he brought his own character in. And his character was Bureau. So I was like, if there's anyone I know who will be willing to even just have someone who I shoot ideas to, I know it'll be him. And if anything, I know that he would even probably want to work on the game as well. So I reached out to him, told him the idea. He really liked the idea. He wasn't going to help with the game. He wasn't gonna, I'll do this or that or whatever, and you do this. Like he was okay with just being the person I talked to. And I reached out to Chris and Cody. I always reach out to them whenever I have a new idea or I'm working on a new project, and I give them updates and stuff. They decided to kind of go their own route in life and do other things, but they do want to see the Masters come to fruition, and they're more than happy with me doing whatever I want to do with it, and they're usually pretty happy with the decisions I make. So they will say, hey, can you make it this or this that way when it comes to their own characters, but they're usually okay with the ideas I come up with. So so basically it came down to just me doing all the work, and then them being the people who are like, oh, that'll be cool if this was this, or that'd be cool if this is this, or I like this, or I don't like this. Being basically my advisors on the project. When I got into this project, this project was just going to be for me, and if anyone else wanted to join, I was cool with that. Anyone that I trusted anyways, because at this point I was like, okay, I kind of want to keep this a secret. Like I said earlier, I don't want to tell anyone. I came up with the idea, but I still had to keep up the appearance that I was not working on it, but working on other things. On top of me working on this project on the down low, I was also writing the books. I also started the comic series as well, because I figured that, hey, I should be able to do all this. I should be able to do all this. It shouldn't be too bad. I can spend a couple days working on this, spend a couple days working on that. I'll keep it to just 2 projects. I'll put some stuff off to the side. I'll work on this while working on something else. That turned out to be more difficult than I thought. It was a mistake, but I will get into that later. I was about to jump in and start working, but I realized that when it came to character design, I hadn't done any kind of character modeling or text or anything. I haven't done anything 3D wise for a character since college. So I was like, oh, okay. Should probably make sure that I can even do that. And the last time I did a character, it kind of turned out poop. I was like, okay, let's go ahead and just do a character. Let's do Tana. If I can, I told myself at this point, this is like a test. If I can make Tana and make it look at least decently good, I will then go and make this game. And that's what I did. So I spent 3 weeks working on Tana, and it basically turned out like this. And I disguised that as, oh, I thought it was cool to see what Tana looked like as a 3D character. That's how I would disguise it as. Because that was technically also what I was doing too. I was trying to see, I was like, can I actually do a character after all these years, after not doing a character? And then I did. I was like, okay. I was pretty happy with it. And she had some problems, obviously. I I was like, ugh, the hands maybe, and the chest, and the eyes and stuff. The hair, for sure. The hair was my major problem with that. But I was like, okay, well, overall, I'm happy with it. So then that's when I started working on the game, and I took that model. And the cool thing is I didn't have to even make the sword, because I already did it when I did the cover of Read the New Cast. And that was, that was done 3ds Max, texture in Photoshop, and then it was all rendered. Actually, I think I don't know if I may have used Substance Painter. I'm not sure. But I did it all. I rendered out in Unreal, and that was the cover. So I already had Tana's sword ready to go. So that was one thing I didn't have to do. So I literally just took the sword, put it in Tana's hand. Then I realized that I don't know coding. I was like, oh wait, in order to make a game, you need a code, right? So I had to learn how to visually code. When I got to that point, I was like, oh yeah, coding. Oh yeah. So I went into Unreal 4 when I was in school learning how to make games. That's what I was taught on. I was taught on Unreal, so that's what I used. That was my first choice, and luckily, Unreal 4 has visual scripting. But the problem, though, I ran into right away was that I didn't know coding, I didn't know visual scripting, and Unreal 4 had come out right when I was graduating. So when I was taught a game engine, I was taught Unreal 3 and Unreal 4. There's some similarities. It's still just basically you throw in a model and then you put it into a scene and you're good to go. And that's all I really was taught anyways. I wasn't really taught scripting because I was an artist. So I had next to no coding experience other than maybe like a class or two, and it was like super simple scripting. And I hadn't touched that in forever. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna need to know scripting, right? So I looked up tutorials. I already went to school. I'm not going to school again. I'm not going to go learn how to make it. And with the power of YouTube, I was able to, in a way, self-teach myself how to do visual scripting. But more so, it was, I was also working at the game at the same time. So I was like, okay, what I'm going to need to do is I need to find as many tutorials that have me do different aspects of what I need, like a health bar. How do I do a health bar? How do I have a floating health bar? How do I have it? How do I make the character do an action when I press a button? How do I do multiple actions? How do I have this button do this thing? How do I have this button do that thing? So I was learning as I was also watching tutorials on how to do different things. So after a while, I actually started picking up on things, and now actually I could potentially, I could do a lot of scripting on my own without having to look at a tutorial now, because of how many tutorials I watched and how much I picked up from those tutorials on how to do the different things. So, and the first attempt was actually doing a straight up scripting, because the tutorial I found, because I was like, okay, I want to do a top down game. How to make a top down game? I found a tutorial, and the tutorial started off with actual doing scripting. So it was like you started out with doing all the scripting, and then you switched over to visual scripting, because the actual script itself, I guess, was to create in a way custom nodes, which was weird, because I was the only person that actually did that. The other tutorials I found were just using what was already there to get what was done. But I thought that was what you're supposed to do, so I continued on with it. But the problem is that he was doing just like a top-down shooter game. Like, I'm not doing a shooter game. I'm doing a top-down hack and slash game. So I need to look up some RPG stuff, like how to do health bars and stuff. I don't need to shoot an enemy and have them die after like 2 hits or whatever. I needed to slash enemy and have them die. So I started looking up RPGs, type tutorials, like how to do slashing, how to do this and that. And I ran into a problem. But that's everything for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you like this content, go ahead and give this a like. Also, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, and there will be more to come for sure. If you want to play this game, you can do so by going to itch.io. It is available for free on there. It is an alpha version. If you have any feedback you'd like to give, you can do so in the comments below on that same page, or you can just reach out to me if you know me personally. There is a Kickstarter going on for this as well, so you can go over to Kickstarter. There's a link in the description for that as well. We are getting closer and closer to that being over, so if you can donate any money, that would be great. It helps us with getting the final version of the game more realized than we could without money. So, but thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.